All right, guys, welcome back into another PGA DFS video. My name is Eric Paulson. Going to be getting into the round 4 picks here for the Genesis Invitational. Now, this has been a fun tournament. I know on Thursday I was a little bit worried about the outcome of the week. A lot of players stepped up, and that was awesome to see. Lanto Griffin was a big one. Mark Leishman was a big one. Xander was a big one. Kind of all the big name players that we needed to make the cut made the cut. And then Russell Henley as well. He shot off a low one, which was awesome to see as well. So overall, it's a pretty easy week in terms of making a profitable build. And then also, like, the GPP plays are also doing well as well. So there's some people that are going to have some nice Sunday sweats as well. Some of the GPP players that I highlighted, and this is kind of the annoying part of this week as well, is that the safe plays, yeah, sure, they made the cut. That's great. But all the GPP plays that I like specifically said, hey, these are GPP plays. And what I mean by that is I kind of do my player pool rank based off of likelihood to help you out in PGA DFS is pretty much the best way to sum it up. And then after that, I do a cash section and a GPP section. The GPP section is calling out the players that, you know, they have a reduced likelihood to make the cut given their price point range. But if they do make the cut, they're going to exceed that price point. So the players that I did that with were Joaquin Niemann, Collin Morikawa, JT, and then Cameron Young. Obviously, you guys that follow 9 to 5 know Cameron Young. I mentioned him. I was worried about him being chalked this week as a value. It was kind of like because Aaron Wise was chalked. Heck, you look at like someone like Thomas Peters this week was, I wouldn't say he was chalky, but like 15% owned. I kind of thought that'd be Cameron Young just due to the upside. So it was kind of weird that he wasn't chalky, just given what I said. But you know, decent play there. That's kind of the annoying part about this week, though, is that like some of those risky plays are just really dominating, which fun. But yeah, this is an interesting one. So just talking about obviously Joaquin Niemann, JT, and then Cameron Young. Those are like the 3 players that really have a chance to win. JT would have to go low. Maybe Collin Morikawa as well. I could see that a little bit. But as it sits right now, I'm just going to read off the odds to you. So Vegas has Joaquin Niemann as a 47% chance to win. Then they're giving Justin Thomas a 22% chance to win. Then Cameron Young a 13% chance to win. And then Jordan and then Collin. Kind of surprising there to me as well. But that's kind of how my odds have it as well. I actually give Collin Morikawa and Cameron Young about a 10% chance to win. And then it's going to be JT at 16% chance to win. So that's kind of the difference there. And then Joaquin Niemann as well is going to be about 30% chance to win. Obviously, Joaquin Niemann is likely to win with that huge lead. But last year we saw this as well, guys, with Sam Burns. He had like a 5 or 6 shot lead going into the final 9 or going into the final 18. It's like the same thing that's going on right now, actually, because it was looking like a wire-to-wire win for Sam Burns. He was making the course look easy, not as easy as Joaquin Niemann and Cameron Young for that matter, but was making it look easy. Going into the back 9, he had like a 3-shot lead, and that evaporated pretty quickly. Obviously, Max Homa and Tony Finau ended up in a playoff there. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how Joaquin Niemann does with the pressure on him. And that's kind of the thing. It's like, this is a course that can really hurt you fast if you start to let the pressure get to you and you start to hit some wayward tee shots. Now, he got away with a couple of bad ones. I don't want to say bad ones, but the nice thing about it is he didn't like make double bogeys. He made a bogey. So I do expect Joaquin Niemann to win. But real quick, just getting into some stuff about Joaquin Niemann as well. So he'd be the last wire-to-wire win at the Genesis Invitational, previously the Open and whatnot. But Charlie Stidford, 1969. That's crazy. And then the last wire-to-wire win on the PGA Tour was Nick Taylor at the 2020 AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, which is just, that's kind of crazy. So it's like, yes, he should win, but like, don't be shocked if he doesn't. Once again, we saw like pretty much this exact same thing last year where Sam Burns was just lapping the field and then he ended up losing, ended up crumbling. And I think Joaquin Niemann is a little bit different of a player. He's been in this spot a few different times. It does seem like he's going to convert the win. And the data kind of tells us that as well. And I'll show that to you guys right now. So just looking at it, my stat that I have is going to be like the regression stat. And the nice thing about it is that he is not really due to regress. So obviously around 70 players made the cut. And he's right in the middle. And so what does that tell us? He's not really expected to play much better than he has, which obviously he's been dominated, but he's not expected to play much worse than he has. He's pretty much even par. No pun intended there. But so yeah, it's really not too crazy for him to like go even par and win. And that might be all he needs to do. And that's going to be the interesting thing to me is like, what is his strategy going to be? Is it going to be to try to shoot even par and win it that way? Or is he going to try to go low? And the thing with tomorrow is I don't really think they want the course to play as easy as it has thus far. I mean, Cameron Young and Joaquin Niemann are absolutely dominating this course thus far. And you got some other players as well that are right there. You know, the average win score at this course is 12 under par. And Joaquin Niemann was there on hole 7 of round 2. I mean, that's crazy. They don't want the tournament to play that easy as it has thus far. So I think the pin placements that we're going to get are going to be the most challenging ones tomorrow. They don't want lower scores. They're probably trying to get Joaquin Niemann to shoot even par and that be the winning score because, like I said, 12 under par has been the normal winning score. They want this tournament to play difficult. It is pretty much the way to sum it up. It's not one of those tournaments in which they want it to be a scoring fest. They want it to be a difficult event. So don't be surprised that the pin placements are going to be tougher there. Okay, and let's just look at the odds here real quick to kind of echo what I was saying earlier. Obviously, those players are all out. So Joaquin Niemann, JT, Cameron Young, Jordan, and guys, if Cameron Young wins after being on the betting card previously and me putting out a tweet that's saying Cameron Young is going to win this season, that's gonna be brutal. And the more brutal part about it is like him and Collin Morikawa were the two players that I were thinking about adding onto the betting card. Looks like it's not going to be that big of a deal with Collin Morikawa, but Cameron Young, that'll be a tough pill to swallow. That will be, because my thought process with it was, with this loaded caliber of a field, I just don't see a long shot winning it. And then kind of all the data was backing that up as well. So he probably won't win, but oh gosh, I'd be kicking myself for that one if that does happen. Maybe we'll see. But yeah, let's just get into the round 2 picks. We'll show you guys the regression here, and then we'll show you guys the live stat regression, which is pretty much the same thing. It kind of echoes the same stuff. So just in general, looking at the raw regression for the tournament, these are the golfers that are most expected to play better in round 4 than they have done in round 3, 2, and 1. Okay. And that's like combined average and whatnot. But Sungjae Im, Jon Rahm, Corey Connors, Hideki, Cameron Smith, Tony Finau, Bubba Watson, Matt Kuchar, Patrick Cantlay, Sergio Garcia. And some of those names are interesting because you look at someone like Sergio Garcia, Patrick Cantlay, even Russell Henley. Those are guys that are kind of right there. Those are the guys that could pop for you guys if they shoot -6, -5 again. They could easily go and get a top 10 finish, which would really pay off for round 4 showdown, because that's really what you're trying to do in round 4 showdown. You're trying to hit on first, second, and third. You know, that shouldn't be too hard to do. And then you're looking for that 1 or 2 players that is the low score that goes from like top 25 to 10 or from top 15 to top 8. You know, that's really what you're looking for there. You're looking for that guy that can go on and score birdies. And that's kind of what the regression stat tells us. But we also do have the stat regression for you guys as well, which is pretty much the same thing. It's just more or less looking at the specific tournament stats. And what I've done is I've done ball striking, greens and regulation, putting, total driving, and then I put that into one raw stat. Okay, and that's what this is. So just in general, looking at it based off of their season average, Cameron Smith, Collin Morikawa, Jason Kokrak, Russell Henley, Hideki, Xander, Sungjae Im, and Scottie Scheffler. Those are the golfers that are expected to play better tomorrow. They're expected to improve on their stats. They're expected to go back to their mean on the season. So just one way of looking at it. And I know a lot of people like looking at putt in general. We can pull that up for you guys. So, and we'll compare this against their season stats as well. So just so you guys can get a better example of why, this is putts per round, putts per green is what we're looking at here. And I do that just because I'm looking for just overall, like how they're playing. Okay, I don't need the strokes gain stats. I'm just looking for like overall performance, like what's expected to happen better. I'm just looking for like good golf, pretty much. So that's what we're looking at here. So Collin Morikawa, not putting that well this week. He's actually putted pretty well this season. Same thing for like Mark Leishman. He's expected to putt a little bit better. Xander Schauffele, Cameron Smith, Aaron Wise. But the thing about that, that's why you have to look at like other stats like greens and regulation and whatnot. That's why you have to include all those stats in there to see a true indication of, hey, are they just hitting less greens and that's why they're not putting as much? That's kind of why you need to include that as well. So just throwing that out there. But yeah, let's get into round 4 real quick and then we'll begin out of here. So, let's just get into rank. And rank, you know, you can take it with a grain of salt, but here we go. Collin Morikawa, Victor Hovland, Justin Thomas, Mark Leishman, Xander Schauffele, Joaquin Niemann. And that's pretty good. So I know what you guys are thinking, like, oh, he's most likely to win he probably should be ranked the first. Yes and no, because what we're baking into this, or what the data is baking into this, is the fact round 4 scoring and the fact that Colin Morikawa, Victor Hovland, Justin Thomas, Mark Leishman, Xander Schauffele, those guys all have to make up some strokes, whereas like Joaquin Niemann is probably just going to be playing a little bit safer, so he might not be scoring as much. So that's part of that equation as well. And then Cameron Young, given his price point, he's just someone that I think you should play as well. He's not going to be someone that's going to pop up too much ranking-wise because, well, on the season, yes, he's had some really great weeks, but round 4 scoring has been his worst. So he's obviously not ranking out too well, only as the 33rd best play for round 4. But what's factored into this as well, that's why I like to look at fantasy points in general. If you look at his fantasy points, he's much higher than that. So given his price point on a showdown slate, you kind of have to play him, which is kind of unfortunate. Now, like I said, he's been in contention before and really crumbled down the stretch. So, you know, we'll see how he deals with the pressure. So if you're playing 2 lineups, like let's just use that as an example, you could fade him in one because he's going to be chalk because he's too cheap on the showdown slate. But I think the reason why DraftKings did that is because he hasn't actually produced too well on round 4 showdowns thus far. Talking about the week that we had him on the outright betting card. At one point, he was the 3rd most likely to win, I think, or 4th most likely to win in round 3. And then, boom, that was gone. That ended quickly. He ended up finishing like 40th. So it was kind of crazy there. But just looking at raw fantasy points, our projected points, Justin Thomas, Joaquin Niemann, this is where the finishing position gets added in there. So you guys can see that. And just looking at the outright bets here real quick. This is kind of just comparing 9 to 5 odds to Vegas odds. And then in general, Vegas odds to 9 to 5 odds. Just kind of something fun to look at. Then matchup bets. Let's just pull that up here real quick as well. There we go. Scotty Scheffler over Beau Hosler, Nick Watney. So if you guys are looking for a matchup bet, you guys could do that. An interesting one there, Victor Hovland over Russell Knox and Cameron Smith. That's kind of interesting to me. I could actually see Cameron Smith having a low one, so I'd probably stick away from that. But you could go with Xander Schauffele over Sergio and EVR. That makes sense to me. Jason Kokrak over Martin Laird and Sam Ryder. That's an interesting one because Laird was a 9 to 5 value. So the values for 9 to 5, man, it's kind of bittersweet with John Rahm and Patrick Cantlay kind of sucking because a lot of lineups had Martin Laird, a variation of 2 of these guys, Martin Laird, Sebastian Munoz, K.H. Lee, and then obviously Cameron Young as well. And with Cantlay and John Rahm doing poorly, it's like kind of a moot point. It's like the values are doing by far their job, and the studs are not. It's always bittersweet when that happens, but we'll see a couple more matchups here. So Colin Morikawa over Adam Scott and Jordan Spieth. I don't know about that one. That one's interesting. You could go with that one. One that I do like is going to be Russell Henley over Siwoo Kim and Robert McIntyre. Let's actually pull that one up here real quick. We'll highlight that. Just I want to see the difference there. Who's okay? That's what I wanted to see. I didn't want it to be like a 50-50. I want it to be Russell Henley is the clear-cut best play because it's 56% chance for him to win that matchup, and then 22% for Siwoo, and then 22% for Robert McIntyre. That's what I wanted to see. That's a good thing there. And then I'll show you guys this one as well because for example purposes. So Cameron Smith much more likely to compete against Victor Hovland than Russell Knox. So just for example purposes. But that is all I have for you guys for this one. It should be a good week. Hopefully the Sunday sweats go your way. And it's interesting because the last 2 Sundays have been great. But round 3 was pretty good today. And round 2 was pretty good as well. So personally, I don't think round 4 is going to be as good as it has been the past 2 weeks. I think it'll be about even par for a lot of the players in the player pool. Unfortunately, we'll see. Like I said, I think the tournament's going to play a lot more difficult tomorrow than it has thus far this week. It's going to be a fun one. I really hope that, I don't know, I don't want Cameron Young to win because I like missing out on that is going to make me so mad. And then kind of Joaquin Niemann because he's been the guy that's been on the betting card a lot as well. But the like almost having Cameron Young on there and Colin Morikawa as well, that's what the bittersweet part would be. I would be like, that'd be one of those things where I just get mad about for a while. When you think about, what was it? Was it Joaquin Niemann and Troy Merritt versus Cameron Davis? Forget who was in that playoff. I think it was. I'm still very bittersweet about like those two not winning and Cameron Davis winning. That was like an outright bet I had. It was like Troy Merritt was like 120 to 1. And then Joaquin Neiman was like 21, and Cameron Davis was like 30 to 1. I didn't have Cameron Davis, but I had Troy Merritt and Joaquin Neiman. I still can't get over that today. That's what this would be if Cameron Young went out and won as well. So should be a fun one though. Hopefully you guys have a good Sunday, and then we'll get back to you guys with the core plays on Monday. And that'll be a good video. I'm excited for that tournament coming up. That's always typically a good one as well. So thanks for watching, and as always, guys, let's keep cashing.